Good afternoon. Welcome to another video from Howell Reese Artist. I hope this finds you well wherever you are in the world and whenever you're listening to this. I'm recording it in the afternoon, of course. Today we are going to look at the painting of a person. We haven't done that for a while, so I thought that would be good. And the photograph that I've decided to paint from is one that I took myself at a recent event held by a group called the West Midlands Photography group, who are a sort of a Facebook group who meet every month or two to do various sorts of shoots at different parts of the West Midlands. And this shoot took place at a place near Cradley Heath, near Birmingham, called Haddon Hill House, which is a period 19th century house, a very grand place. And we had lots of models and makeup artists there, and I'm intending to paint a number of the photographs that I took from that shoot. So let me show you the photograph. Sorry, this is the final painting. Actually, I thought I'd show you what I've ended up with. This is a model called Agneta. She's a regular at these events. Photographed her before, and this is the painting that I've derived from the photograph. This photograph was taken indoors. And she had a window behind us, which is causing that kiss of light on the back of her neck and her by her left ear and up into her hair. So that's what I've ended up with. But let's go back to the start and see how we got there. Now this is the initial photograph cut away from its background. I considered keeping the background, but in this case I decided it was too fussy. There was too much going on in there, and so I cut it away, and I created some extra space around the photograph to give myself room to paint in a background. Now, I always start with the background, as I've said many times before in these videos, and this is actually the background that I started with here. And you might say, hang on, that's rubbish. That doesn't look anything like, that doesn't complement her at all. But actually, using the magic of Photoshop, I can colorize the background to create something which is a pleasing complement, and that's quite a rapid task to do, to get the background in. But it's fundamental. If you get it wrong, the whole thing looks wrong from there on in. Then what I do after that, and this is just the way I've been taught, I'm not saying it's the right way, but it makes a lot of sense to me, is that I then paint in the in this case the dress, and then I do the skin. So it's first of all is in clothing, and then is skin. So here's the painting that I've done of the skin and the dress, and if I just take it away, this will look a bit weird. You can see I haven't done her hair yet. I haven't done the detail of those big dark earrings that she's wearing, but I've painted the dress, and I've painted her skin. Now the dress I've just painted quite loosely because I'm not really terribly interested in the dress. I'm mainly interested in her face and her hair. Excuse me while I take a drink. And to show you how I paint the skin, I thought that might be interesting for you to see. I'm going to go to another painting that I've just started. where of another model on this same shoot, and I'll just sort of paint some of her skin to show you how it's done. Now, modern cameras are very critical, are very hard on the skin of anybody that's more than about 10 years of age. They show a lot of detail, and actually in painting skin, we're actually mainly getting rid of detail without changing the shape of the face. And what that means is really without moving the shadows, because if you move the shadows, you will change the shape of the jawline or the nose or the eyes, and it won't look like the person that you're painting, which is generally not a good idea. So you use a particular brush called a skin blender, and literally the process is just going around with the brush, making small circles over and over and over and over again. And it literally, there's no more involved in it than that in a sense, but attention to detail is huge. Now, if you're watching this on a fairly good screen, you will be able to see that there's still some blotchiness in there. So actually what you do is you go back in once you've done it once, and you go over it again, and you sort of even it out even more, again without moving the shadows. You go around the facial features like eyebrows and so on. We'll come back to that. There we are. That's getting close to something that I would be satisfied with in this painting. So let me just flick that on and off. You see I've not moved the shadows, I've not created highlights where there weren't highlights. I have smoothed out a bit of a hot spot on just under her hairline, but that's acceptable. Oops, big pardon. And that's basically what you do. But you see here on her forehead, there's a definite. She's sitting next to a window actually, so this is quite important to do correctly. And I'm taking out some of the sort of very small hairs that are straying from the main body of her hair, and that's sort of an acceptable thing to do. There we are. Now there's more or less all of her forehead. I've done that quite quickly, but you did the wrong one again. You can see I've not moved that big shadow on her forehead here. I have made a little bit more of a solid line perhaps than I would like. So just smooth that out a little bit. And I have actually moved a bit of shadow down. I've moved a bit of brightness down. This is live. I've not done this before. There we are, that's better. Yeah. And you literally do that, and you basically go all over the face. And doing around the eyes and around the lips takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, but it's well worth it. To come back to Agneta, what I've done with her, let me turn the base image back on. You can see there are some hot spots of light, sparkly bits of light on her forehead, on the bridge of her nose, and on one of her cheeks. I've taken those out, very much smoothed the skin, so there's actually no texture left at all. This is very much traditional oil painting style. I've taken out the creases on her neck. Sorry. Taking out the creases on her neck, but again being very careful not to move the jawline. In fact, even sharpening the shadow a little bit on the jawline, just to sort of to emphasize that. Slightly lessen the sparkle on the lips, and taking out all this, I think it was called juvenile hair that's around her jawbone and other parts of her face. So that process is quite intricate, quite involved, but very, very pleasurable actually to do. So once you've done the, if I go back out again, if you've done the face and the neck and the clothing, the next step to move on to is doing the hair. Now in this one, where you can see the original hair, she's got these fashionably dark roots, but I didn't think that fitted really with the period costume, the period setting of the overall photo shoot. So in this one, in doing her hair, because there is no base image left there, there's the base image. You can see the main thing I've concentrated on doing here while painting the hair is lightening her roots. There's a special brush to do the hair with, and you can actually take the colour from further up the hair and apply it further down. Now one of the things I had to decide, one of the sort of creative decisions I had to decide, is she's got this sort of artificial flower matching her dress in her hair. I had to decide whether to show that in a lot more detail or to minimize it, and the decision was to minimize, largely because I don't want you looking up here. I want you looking generally at the hair, but not specifically at the little ornament put in it. So there's enough detail there to show that there's an ornament in the hair, but there's not enough detail to really distract you, because I mainly want you looking at the face and the hairdo. Let me turn off the base image so you can see that I've also taken quite a bit of time actually to paint these very intricate earrings in some fair amount of detail. But also, if I just go back to the image, the base image a moment, and if I move in, one of the things that you might notice is that I've brightened the whites of the eyes just a bit, not a huge amount, but deliberately brightened them so that the whites of the eye stand out a little bit more. That's just lifted the whole eye area, and that helps a lot in the overall composition. So having done the clothing, the hair, the skin, the earrings and the hair, what's left then is to apply what's called a breakup layer. You can see here, there wasn't much of her body in the original photograph. I wouldn't want that much anyway. You don't want a lot of torso showing in a portrait that's mainly of a face. And so you sort of break up the the bottom of the torso so that it just appears to fade away into nothing. And the brain is quite happy to accept that. It sort of understands that and doesn't really sort of dwell unnecessarily on it. And then there's just a question of adding a signature mark, which I do down in the bottom right hand corner, and there's one of those marks somewhere on the picture in all my work. And then the final stage is, for me, is always a quality control measure, just looking at the picture in high magnification, just to make sure everything is absolutely as it should be, and then it can be classified as done. So I hope you found that interesting. The whole process of painting a person is one that I find particularly interesting, and one that I hope over the next year to be doing a lot more of, in addition to my pet portrait work. But it's just very rewarding painting people. Thank you for that. Thank you for your time. I do appreciate you sticking with me and watching these videos. We have a growing little community of people who watch these videos on a regular basis, and thanks to you all. Next week, next Wednesday, I will be at the Staffordshire County Show. So if there is time, I will do a live broadcast from my phone in the afternoon, and just try and show you a little bit about the show and what's going on there, and I'll give it a try anyway. And I hope that works. If that doesn't work, I will see you in a fortnight's time for another video. Thanks very much indeed. God bless.